Sorry about the late start today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, but of course I'm an idiot and my phone died. So that means we have a little bit of a late start, but we're still going to talk about the finishing of the WWE Draft on Monday Night Raw. Of course, the first SmackDown since the draft, where a lot of wrestlers addressed their splits, the New Day included. And we're going to talk about the upcoming Bound for Glory pay-per-view from Impact Wrestling happening this Saturday. And we're going to do all that and more this week on
Breaking Down Woo! You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah. Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list.
This right here is a family.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The After Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
When you're listening...
And you're listening to...
You listen to Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Break it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are watching, you are listening, you are paying attention to the most inappropriate pro wrestling show in the motherfucking world. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring. We are your ring crew.
I'm Smitty.
I'm Mikey. That's it.
That's it right now.
Nick and Z are both on vacation. They're doing things with each other in the woods. It's spooky season, so that's what they do. It's fine. It's okay. We'll let them have
in the woods.
Right. Smitty, do you have your headphones in?
No, I left my headphones at work.
Well, that's dumb because I can hear myself every time I talk now, and I talk a lot. I'm an idiot. You're so silly, Smitty. Silly Smitty over there. Whatever, man. Just turn it down a little bit. Just enough so you can only hear it, not me. We got some shit to talk about, obviously, this week. However, the first thing I want to talk about is our brand new intro. If you listened, you could tell normally it sounded very similar to the Undisputed Era's music for like the last about year, I want to say. Now it is the old ECW theme music. Smitty, you're a huge ECW mark. What did you think? What do you think about it, bruh?
At first, I thought, so we're going to have our own season premiere with a new intro. But I'm a huge, like you said, I'm a huge ECW mark, so I really enjoyed it. For me, it was a real good throwback of the music.
Yeah.
So I was really excited about it.
That was my whole point of it, man. It was just, we do so many different things. We do the show every week, and everyone has world premieres and season premieres and stuff like that. But we got like a new ring crew member with Walt officially joining. And I was just, scrolling through again, if you guys want to know where I got the music from, because it's copyright free. I got it from the Adam Massacre YouTube page. So go check out Adam Massacre on YouTube. Definitely amazing, because I think it's Mr. Adam Massacre is the actual page title. The whole thing about that is, I go through it and just check out all the stuff that he does. He does so many for wrestlers, but he also does a lot for like games and stuff like that. There's some Resident Evil ones, there's Walking Dead, there's other theme songs that he has done that I highly suggest you check out. So make sure you go check out Adam Massacre on YouTube. And currently, Walt is joining and connecting to audio. Smitty, you're just gonna have to mute when you're not talking, bro, because it's bad. So let's get into the WWE Draft. It is the big story this week because a lot of people were split, a lot of people were separated. WWE did a lot of stuff off air because there was still stuff that was done on Talking Smack, as we saw after SmackDown, and on Raw Talk. And then there's the stuff with the free agents that happened. So night 2, biggest things for night 1, we'll recap a little bit. Drew McIntyre and Roman Reigns stayed on their respective brands. Asuka, the women's champion, stayed on Raw. Seth was the big first switch when he went to SmackDown. AJ Styles was the next big switch when he went back to Raw, to get away from Paul Heyman. And then you got things like team splitting. A huge one was the New Day. The New Day itself were completely split at the end of SmackDown. They saw that Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were drafted to Raw, and then Big E and the exact next draft pick was kept on SmackDown. So that was the end of the New Day right there. And I want to say that might have been the biggest shock, because while a lot of people have been talking about how the New Day might split in drafts before this, it really wasn't talked about much because no one really thought about it. Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston were both out due to injury. Big E was on a singles run without them, but it didn't seem any reason to split them. And then they came back on the draft episode of SmackDown only to be split right after winning the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. So night 2 started on Raw, and right off the bat, there was a major shift with the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, being drafted number 1 on Raw, and he goes from SmackDown to Raw. And this is a big thing because any number 1 pick on a show, specifically the flagship show for WWE, yes, SmackDown right now is given all of the priorities for the simple fact that it's on network television. It sees more TV, it sees more people than anyone else. And they're, starting season 2 of on their SmackDown deal on Fox. So it's the priority show. But Raw is the flagship show. Raw is the baby of Vince McMahon. It was the staple, obviously, with the Monday Night Wars because it's Monday Night Raw. So to have the Fiend go number 1 and be pulled from SmackDown to Raw is a very significant point in the Fiend. It shows that there is backing behind what is going on with this gimmick. Smitty, what are your thoughts on the Fiend going number 1 and moving to Raw?
I think the Fiend's one of the biggest draws in the company right now. So him move, like you said, Raw's the flagship. That's what's his baby. If he wants one of the biggest attractions over there, that's what's going to happen. I just hope they don't pull a rug from under them like they've been doing over the last year.
When they draft somebody number 1, though, it does not seem like it's a situation of pulling something under somebody's rug.
I said, I hope they don't, as they've kind of been doing over the last year or so. It's not like they haven't had a history of pulling the rug from under Bray Wyatt when he's got something going.
Yeah, but they've never publicly shown any major support either. Him going number 1 on Raw from SmackDown to Raw is a major pump up for the character from backstage perspective, because you don't do that. You don't do a number 1. Like the number 1 and 2 draft picks on SmackDown were the champions. The third one was Asuka, who's the Raw Women's Champion, right? So you kind of, yes, they're up there. Obviously, they feel like there's a good run with these people by having the title on them. But they're also the first 2 to get drafted no matter what because they're champions. And then Seth Rollins, I believe, was the first to be drafted that wasn't a champion. Yeah, because it's Drew, Roman, Asuka, then Seth Rollins was the 4th pick and wasn't a champion. So therefore, Seth is a guy that they're really going with, right? So to have Bray Wyatt, who is not a champion, go before Bayley, who they're obviously putting money in, right? That has to be a little bit more of a rub to Bray Wyatt. So more likely it's not going to be a situation where they pull the rug from under him, because it seems like they're invested in him because they made him a feature right off the bat on Raw. Even before their current champion, who is phenomenal, Bayley. He went before Bayley. But you just want to sit there worried because it's WWE and you hate giving any positive feedback for WWE.
No, like I said first, I hope they don't do what they've done to him in the past. Do I think the potential for him to be a bigger star than he is? Is it they're on Raw? Yes, it is. Like I said, it's a flagship show. This is where Miz believes all the bread and butter really comes from.
Mm-hmm. And I will say, putting him on Raw is a real smart idea because it's 3 hours, so it's not like you're fitting him in somewhere. It is something that you can run with and have a featured part throughout it. Walt, what are your thoughts on Bray going number one and going from SmackDown to Raw?
I like it. For me, it doesn't really matter which brand he's on, but I think it's kind of a smart move because now you kind of keep Bray Fiend away from Roman Reigns for a bit now. Like you don't have to rush back into that, and then when Roman wins, you won't have the marks like Smitty complaining that they're just buried him again. So we get to get away from that. Also, I mean, the angle they're going with him right now with him and Alexa is going really strong, and it kind of looks like maybe they're going to enter something with Andrade. Possibly, but I mean, I don't last I saw, he wasn't drafted anywhere, right?
Yeah, he's still technically a free agent. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, that could be something. Overall though, I like the move. I mean, and also it gives just a little bit more star power to Raw, which I feel like it was kind of lacking. Raw was very top heavy, but the further down the card you kind of go, you don't really have anyone else that's really going to draw you in or make you want to sit and watch for 3 hours. Now with Bray Wyatt there, you have that. You have something else outside of what's going on with Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm. And look, let's be very honest. Because of the Drew McIntyre Randy Orton thing, you're probably going to not see the Fiend touch the title picture, the main title picture, for a little bit anyway. It's Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt has a history, obviously, but if the plan is Randy Orton versus Edge at WrestleMania, you're not going to see Randy Orton versus The Fiend at WrestleMania, unless that's also something that you get, if you want to think about it. If Edge isn't able to come back at WrestleMania and you give that belt to Randy Orton, you have a really good backup match in Randy Orton versus The Fiend for the WWE Championship. You could have The Fiend win the Royal Rumble, and go to WrestleMania to challenge Randy Orton and win the belt and have a huge WrestleMania moment, because Randy Orton is winning this. If the thought process is Randy Orton is winning the belt from Drew McIntyre to hold until WrestleMania to drop to Edge. The only change would be to drop to The Fiend. It's a good backup plan. It is something that they should follow through with, especially given The Fiend's popularity. Smitty, what are your thoughts on that being your B? The A plan is Orton versus Edge, give it to Edge at Mania. The B plan should be Orton versus Fiend, give it to Fiend at WrestleMania. Or do you think that, I know you're going to think that they might not give him the belt, therefore burying him, but is it a good backup plan to have Randy Orton versus The Fiend at WrestleMania, the thought process?
Yeah, I think it's one of the best ideas for a backup, honestly. WWE's talking about how, people always talk about how WWE has a problem developing newer stars, and Orton having a Fiend go over at Mania. That's one of those things. Also, it's you also look at it as you can build a star like Wyatt dropped to Orton a couple of years ago at Mania, so this would be then coming full circle.
Mm-hmm. Now, the other crazy thing about this is Randy Orton versus The Fiend is a backup plan for the possible COVID stuff that is going on here in America and obviously in Canada. Edge lives in Canada. with Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix hasn't been seen on NXT television because she is in Canada. She's been doing all of her broadcasting from home, and there's a stand-in sitting next to Vic Joseph on the one side of him, just like there's a stand-in for Wade Barrett. I almost called him by his shoot name, Stu Bennett. On NXT television. Yes, we still have the commentators, but they can do that from home. Edge was there for Mania, obviously, a little bit afterwards. Then he got injured. So the fact that Beth Phoenix is staying home during all of this, it's very possible the Edge will have to stay home if restrictions aren't lifted for travel. So therefore, even if it's not an injury related, WWE seems to be going, now we have a real strong backup. Well, are you hoping if obviously Orton versus Edge is your top billing for WrestleMania, right? Even if they do Roman versus The Rock on the SmackDown side, which is also being talked about, but Orton versus Edge is obviously a huge thing. What do you think about Orton versus The Fiend? Is it a smart backup plan to have?
Sorry, I'm fixing the toilet right now.
That's okay. Plungers.
Oh, okay. All
Hi,
right.
Katie.
She can't hear you, but yeah.
I know.
I don't want to see Orton versus The Fiend because then that means it won't be Edge and Orton like I want it to be. So no, I don't want that to happen.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying, do you think it's a smart backup? Obviously, the top draw is Orton Edge. That's what we want. That's what everyone wants. But COVID, injury, there's a lot of at stake with getting Edge from Canada down to California, Florida, wherever the fuck they choose to do WrestleMania. So is it a smart idea and a good idea for this Fiend backup?
I mean, it is. It is a good idea. That is a good backup plan for Orton versus Fiend. I mean, I don't think they'll do that. Just for the simple fact, I mean, I guess unless they turn Orton babyface or just turn Fiend babyface or something, but you're going to have a heel versus heel main event at WrestleMania. I don't see that really happening.
I don't really think the Fiend is heel.
In the sense of the word, no, he's not. The fans love him. He's super over, and he sells a ton of merch, and everyone loves him, right? It's universally known. Everyone likes him. But in a traditional sense, I mean, he is. But also at the same time, I mean, he goes after everybody, right? He goes after baby faces, he goes after heels, he goes after people who don't really have a real status there. So I mean, I mean, he just finished up. He was just had this little thing with Kevin Owens going for a bit there, and now attacking Andrade, which I mean, I get confused with what they're doing with Andrade week to week because sometimes I think they're gonna turn him and then they don't. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, I could. Yeah, I mean, it would be a good idea. I wouldn't mind seeing that, but again, like I want what I want.
Right, of course. Yeah, we don't want it, but if we have to deal with it, we'll take it. And yeah, I really think the Andrade thing, I know he went undrafted, but he's supposed to be the Raw Tag Team Champion right now. If it wasn't for the injury to Angel Garza at the end of that match, I'm pretty sure that they were going over on the Street Profits. And then you'd probably see them on SmackDown rather
Plans change, Mikey.
Right. I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. I don't feel like they're just throwing Andrade to I think now they are like, fuck, what do we do? But I think they had a plan, and then, torn quads hips change everything. The second pick, obviously, as I was stating, Bayley stays on SmackDown as the SmackDown Women's Champion. Randy Orton for number 3 stays on Raw. And then number 4, the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Mark Montez Ford, as we talked about last week, go from Raw to SmackDown. Smitty, I actually want to talk to you about this as well. All they did with the New Day were literally, like I said, hand each other the opposite belts, right? I feel like that's kind of a weird thing because in WWE world, it's still titles, right? So why not have okay, we're drafted to each brand. Let's have a match, 2-fall match. Whoever wins the first fall goes to Raw, takes the Raw Tag Team Championships. Whoever wins the second fall takes the SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Then it's really possible that make you think, oh, they're putting the New Day back together because they can win the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and now they're still on SmackDown with Big E. I feel like they could have done a lot more than just swap over the belts, personally. What are your thoughts on that?
Them swapping the belts, so I think I was all right with it. But it was like that's when reality set in. Like, well, they actually are just splitting the New Day at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of reality kind of kicked in. Like I would have way preferred what you just said there. I have a 2-fall match sometime probably on SmackDown just to figure out what belt goes where. But outside of that, like the just exchanging of the belts was just kind of meh.
Right. There was like no real drama or anything to it. They could have done stuff with it. They chose not to. So yeah, like you said, finally, the finality of the New Day being broken up. It's official. Kofi and Xavier on Raw as the New Day. Big E on SmackDown. Talk a little bit about what was said on SmackDown. How did you feel about that promo?
So we got to smell the whole when they talked about the moments and all that good stuff. It just reminded you how great the New Day were as a group, and how many moments they actually provided over the last 5-6 years. And it was just one of those really. It was a feel good moment. It's probably the best way you could probably send the New Day off at this point.
Well, New Day, obviously, real popular tag team. You're also a fan of the New Day. You're, huge proponent of how they're one of the people who took a shitty gimmick to be given with and then literally turned it around and made it the most popular gimmick in WWE. What are your thoughts on the split? And did you watch the promo on SmackDown?
Number one, I watched the promo on SmackDown, and that was like, I got the little tinglies watching it last night. So I mean, excellent promo, and I mean that wasn't a promo. That was just 3 guys talking, being real,
Mm-hmm.
Because before they were the New Day, Kofi looked like he was just going to forever be a mid-card guy who will get the occasional IC title, US title run, just because. Big E and Xavier Woods, it seemed like they were going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Big E broke in with a ton of potential, won the IC title like relatively quickly, and had great success down in FCW. And it just, for whatever reason, he just wasn't translating, in WWE. And Xavier Woods, who I mean, he had the little dance gimmick when he first broke in and was R-Truth's little buddy,
Mm-hmm.
but again, not really going anywhere, and then they did that, and it took off. As far as the split, as much as I'm a fan of them, as much as I enjoy them as a group, I think it was time, and to have them split by going to separate shows, I think it does you the solid of not having to have them like break up and have somebody turn heel.
Mm-hmm.
And turn their back on each other. The traditional wrestling way to break up a tag team or like break up a group is just like, all right, hey, we're going to go our separate ways, and we're still boys, and we'll see each other down the line again. I feel like this should be a launching point for Big E going forward. I don't think he's going to be WrestleMania main event next year.
Oh, Walt paused. How's your Wi-Fi at home, bro?
That's usually my thing.
That's right. Yeah, he's stealing your gimmick. Hopefully, we're not going to start being wrong about things.
Oh,
there,
man.
he's back.
Seriously, I just said all of that and like nothing, huh?
Hold on. All we got right up to I don't think he's going to be WrestleMania event next year. So
okay, that makes me feel a lot better.
It's just like the last 10, 15 seconds of whatever you said.
AT&T Internet, man, it's super great.
In certain spots of the house, it breaks up. Mine does the same too, man. My fucking Wi-Fi sucks where my PlayStation 4 is, so that's why I pulled one Kayla's PlayStation 4. She's on punishment, so I can take it, and I put it in the living room, so I have better Wi-Fi and can do more online gaming.
There we go. Okay, but I don't think I said.
So yeah,
anything
you don't
else.
think
I don't think he's gonna. Yeah, he's not gonna be main event next year, but like very soon. I think he's on his way to being that top guy. You know, I mean, and also work with New Day. His promo ability got 20 times better than what it was when he first started. And that's what you got to be able to talk if you're going to be the guy, and he can do that.
That's awesome. Because Big E, I mean, look, there's been many a times that a lot of people have said Big E has the look, Big E has the skill set, Big E moves around in the ring like a top guy that should be in the main event status. Now, granted, we know that he's on the same show as Roman Reigns, right? We know that if anything, it's going to eventually be Big E versus Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a bad guy right now. Big E is a good guy. It's also very possible that might be a backup for this WrestleMania if they can't get The Rock. You could see Roman versus Big E, but the problem with that is you get Roman and Big E at this one, it is very likely, way more likely, that Big E loses to Roman Reigns than The Fiend losing to Randy Orton. So I don't know if I like that as a backup, because I feel like the minute you put Big E into that moment, into that stratosphere, one, you're automatically re-invoking the thoughts of Kofi Kingston's WrestleMania win. Automatically, because of how tied Big E and the New Day are. And obviously when Kofi won, it was a huge deal at that WrestleMania. You put Big E there and then take away and then give him a loss to even Roman Reigns, who the fans are already, even though right now he's doing his best work, and I have no fucking clue why the fans hate Roman Reigns right now, because you wanted a heel turn. He's got a heel turn. He is phenomenal. Everyone's excuses, he never really changed. He still had the same music, and he's wearing the vest. Vest is gone. The music, it's just a staple. You're going to have to deal with it. Big E versus Roman Reigns, possibly at WrestleMania, I don't think is a good idea. Walt, what are your thoughts? As a backup plan.
As a backup plan, this is a sports guy in me, right? Mm-hmm. So with every champion in every sport, you go through heartbreak first, right? You have to have the heartbreak. You get to the big stage, but you don't win, and that just motivates you, and then that tells a story for the next year. Take for instance the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are the Stanley Cup champions. Last year, they had heartbreak. Everyone thought they'd win. They stumped their toe. They got swept in the first round by the worst team that was in the playoffs last year. And this year, they rebounded. They won the Stanley Cup, albeit bubble hockey, but still, it was a big moment and made it that much sweeter for those guys to win. So, in that thinking, it's like, all right, if they have to go Big E Roman, and Big E falls to Roman at Mania, then I think you can use that. That can be like just another thing, like in the story of Big E, so that when he finally does reach the mountaintop and get that big spot and win, it's that much more special. Kind of like Shawn Michaels, right? He lost to Diesel in '95, had the redemption for all throughout '95, got back to '96, ended up winning the title in '96. And had that big WrestleMania moment. I'm not saying Big E is Shawn Michaels, but however, I'm just saying, like, if that's what they have to do, if that is the best available match to them at WrestleMania, I would not hate it if they kind of used it like that, where you keep the belt of Roman, but you still build Big E, and you tell a story of overcoming and trying to win. And then eventually winning. Now, if he never wins and just goes back down to the mid card for the next 3 years, then it's a waste of everything.
Okay, Smitty, what are your thoughts on that scenario?
I thought they were going to use that for the backup. I thought they were probably, if they don't get Rock Roman, they're going to go Seth Roman.
Seth is a bad guy though.
I think that once again, there's a possibility to turn. There's always a possibility to turn them at some point or another. But I think they will more likely go with Seth the Roman over Big E Roman for a backup if they can't get Rock Roman.
What do you think, Roman Lars Sullivan?
The missing link versus Roman Reigns.
But again, I'm actually saying, what are your thoughts on possibly using Big E in that scenario that Walt just laid out? Still have the heartbreak even with the loss, but hopefully within the next year, come back and get the big victory. Because, look, I'll be very honest, man. The only reason I was rooting for the Astros to go to the World Series this year so the Dodgers could beat the shit out of them. That's all I wanted. I wanted someone in the Dodgers dugout when the Astros are up to bat to start beating on a fucking trash can, because that would have been hilarious to me, right? That would have been beautiful.
I wanted the Astros to win because I root for the heel sometimes.
Right. I just wanted them to lose. I wanted that redemption story. It's very similar. The Dodgers and the Astros, redemption story. LA Dodgers beating the Astros for the World Series this year, I thought would have been great. But
I wanted the Astros to win the World Series.
Oh, no.
Just because.
So your thoughts on that scenario?
So I think it'd be a nice story, long as if the redemption happens.
Mm-hmm.
So this
Thanks
is
for your
simple.
inputs, Smitty. You're really good. I love how detailed you get with everything. Z, what we're talking about right now is the.
I have chills, man. Chills, man.
Woo, baby.
That's you.
If Roman and The Rock can't happen at WrestleMania, with the split of the New Day being final, maybe a possibility of Roman versus Big E at WrestleMania for the backup. Walt's scenario is build it like you did Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels loses to Diesel in 95, but comes back the next year in 96 and wins the big title. Because obviously this is looking like a major push for Big E by separating him from the New Day.
How was I supposed to know? That was rude.
Say hi. I would like to see that build too, but they're not going to do Roman and The Rock without a crowd. It'd be stupid. So if your backup's Big E, I like it. You can't build it just like Shawn because he's more of a powerhouse than Shawn was, but I do like the redemption storyline.
And that's what he was saying, like a sports thing. Like, in sports, the best thing is some of the best things to watch is somebody that lost and then gets to build back up, similar to the Tampa Bay Lightning getting swept out in the first round last year and then winning the Stanley Cup this year. It's a redemption storyline, makes you that much more special to see the final win. I'm not sure I'm totally happy about it. I understand the redemption storyline, but not to play Smitty here, it does not seem like when WWE goes into these long-term storylines with things like this, they're more for the person that they have more favor in, that being Roman Reigns right now. Shawn Michaels is the guy. He had a lot of backstage pull and everything. They wanted Shawn Michaels. Similar to how we were talking about with Stone Cold Steve Austin last week. He won the King of the Ring and didn't win the WWF title for 2 years. But he was the guy they wanted to go with. Injuries, however, stepped that away. They still kept him on the mic. They still kept him talking and eventually still gave him that title. So in that scenario, Austin was the guy. Shawn Michaels was the guy. I'm not sure, again, that Big E is the guy that they will say, yeah, we want you to lose to win and then stick with the to win part. Because other ones they would have. So me personally, while I do also love the scenario that Walt played out, I am not would not be thinking this is a smart backup. Now, Smitty, you bringing up Seth Rollins is a good backup plan because they'll never be low on Seth Rollins, ever. They love Seth Rollins, at least for now, right? The look of it is, so even if Seth Rollins loses to Roman at Mania, it's still, Seth will be floating around the top hierarchy of the card. Very possible. Number 5 of the draft, the last one for round 1 was Charlotte Flair. She stays on Raw. Braun Strowman kicks off round 2 at pick number 6, and he goes from SmackDown to Raw. Daniel Bryan, the B+ player, stays on SmackDown. Matt Riddle goes from SmackDown to Raw. Let's just go ahead and keep featuring these people that have a lot of lawsuits against them. WWE's really making themselves look good. Kevin Owens is number 9 pick. He goes from Raw to SmackDown. Then shared a private tweet with him and Sami Zayn about how they're back together again. He goes, remember we made a whole crowd stand on their feet with this. So I'm going to lead in with this one. This one will take a break from the draft, and we'll talk on this. Sami Zayn currently is on a remarkable run as the Intercontinental Champion on SmackDown. It is spectacular. Everything that he's doing, the way they're letting him talk, the way they're letting him run with this, it's something that we've wanted to see from Sami Zayn, even in NXT. Because let's be very honest, even NXT Sami Zayn's championship run wasn't this good, right? He got that belt and then immediately dropped it to Kevin. Granted, he's fine with that, but we all wanted a real run out of Sami Zayn as NXT champion. Sami Zayn as IC champion is spectacular. Smitty, your thoughts on the move of Kevin Owens? Are we going to get a fight forever moment this time, maybe possibly at WrestleMania? Kevin Owens, the face, versus heel Sami Zayn at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental belt. Again, look, we love watching these guys fight. Yes, it's repetitive, but god damn is it so good every time they go toe-to-toe in the ring.
I don't even think we're going to get it at Mania. I think we'll probably get it at the Rumble.
Yeah?
If anything. Because I think they'll rush that story because they know what they have on their hands right there. So, but I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, Sami Zayn's IC run is phenomenal. He annoys me in all the right ways as a heel. And that's something that's really, really hard to do, especially today in today's world of the internet and things being leaked and all that good stuff.
And he is a fucking beauty on the internet, on Twitter and shit, because he's always wanting to give back and do charity stuff. So it's not even like he's playing like Kevin Owens as a heel when he's on Twitter is heel, 100%. But Sami Zayn is like, dude, donate here, SamiForSyria.com, all this stuff. And then he gets on TV and he's like, fuck you, you hate me. And you're like, you're fucking right, I hate you.
It was like Sami Zayn's like probably one of the best actors. He's one of the best actors in WWE right now.
Nice.
So the fact.
So you're thinking Royal Rumble will get it. I think Royal Rumble sets up the Mania match in a haluva kick, sending Kevin Owens over the top rope accidentally.
So you think there's going to be a quick heel run for KO?
No. I'm saying they're hot, for a couple months backstage. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you and stuff. Sami, he's like, I don't think you should be doing this. Well, I think you should be doing this. Blah blah blah. You can do the friendship face heel thing, and then at Royal Rumble, like some little things happen throughout the week. Yeah, and then there's a situation where Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are teaming up at the Rumble, and then a haluva kick misses somebody else and it sends Kevin Owens over the top rope, setting up the Royal Rumble fallout to the WrestleMania match, which is usually the best way to build anything in WWE. A lot of the past best WrestleMania matches have been set up from stuff at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to because they already know what they have on their hands with Sami and Kevin. I think that's why I think they will kind of rush it. Kevin. So
that makes sense. Actually, all right, let's move on with this draft. Next, Jeff Hardy moves from SmackDown to Raw to finish out round 2. Round 3 kicks off with Retribution staying on Raw, that being Mustafa Ali, T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and Reckoning. Then Lars Sullivan and all of his anger towards whatever the fuck he's angry at stays on SmackDown. Again, another guy featured in the draft. And
you'd be that angry too if you're that ugly.
That's with the lisp. You can't even talk. Hey, we're going to put you on a show you can't even say properly. Where are you going? SmackDown. Up next, Keith Lee, 13 pick, stays on Raw. King Corbin stays on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss moves from SmackDown to Raw, further keeping her and Bray Wyatt together. Elias makes a surprise return and goes from SmackDown to Raw. Let's talk about this. Elias was set to have a really good push come Mania time and then just decided to be injured as fuck for the last year. Are we still high on Elias? Or are we hoping that he kind of goes away, Walt?
Well, Jeff Hardy hit him with a damn car because he got drunk, that damn Jeff Hardy.
It's true.
I love Elias. As you know, one of my few regrets in life is that I did not name my oldest child Elias.
Instead, he's a Wyatt.
Yeah, he's a Wyatt. But I feel like with Elias, he's had a lot of start stops. You know, it's been he'll get a good push, and he's featured. I mean, he was featured out of a 2-hour show on Smackdown before he got hurt. I mean, he was on there 3-4 times, you know, and even when he was on Raw, 3-hour show, he's on there 4 or 5 times, you know, every show, like whether he's like not ever really wrestling. I mean, I legitimately cannot remember the last time I saw Elias in a wrestling match. Like, I've been racking my brain trying to think the last right? I mean, it's like, was it Mania?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I mean, but he's a guy who, I mean, I say it a lot, but like, he doesn't need a title to get over. He just gets over with that guitar, and he plays his role perfectly. No matter heel or baby, when he's a baby face for 2.5 months.
You always go back to him in Seattle, man, with Kevin Owens. Oh my God, those boos! That was wonderful.
Yeah, he's like, so. I hope that they get something for him so he can maintain and just be involved in storylines and have a good storyline. It looks like he's going to have something going with Jeff Hardy because he knocked the hell out of him with that guitar when he popped up. So I'm hoping that they can do something together with him. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I love Elias, and I hope that this run now that he's back from injury, that it goes well for him, and that he can stay healthy and get the push that I think he deserves, and frankly, I think a lot of people would like to see.
Well, here's the crazy thing about him attacking Jeff Hardy for being hit with the car. Remember, it wasn't Jeff Hardy driving that car. It was Sheamus, who subsequently been drafted to Raw. And Sheamus was setting up Jeff Hardy, drove the car, and then, you know, fucking covered him in liquor, threw the liquor in the car and stuff to make it look like Jeff Hardy was driving that car. But we found out that Sheamus. So Elias coming back as a heel to attack Jeff Hardy seems kind of weird to me, especially when the storyline played out that Jeff wasn't driving the car. So are they kind of...
But you're not supposed to remember that.
Look, revisionist history, I understand that's all WWE does. But I do remember that. A lot of people remember that. And so therefore, maybe this sort of plays into Elias coming back because he still thinks Jeff Hardy did it. And then eventually Jeff's like, no, man, look at the video package, man. And then, because, you know, he's really Southern draw. Smitty, your thoughts on Elias coming back? Happy or fuck, man? Come on, dude. Let's just be done with him already.
I've been big on Elias since he came up, since his call up. Like we all said, like when he was in NXT, there was really nothing that was interesting.
I hated him in NXT.
That's what you getting to my point is that we none of us were really big on him on NXT, but since he's come up to
that's not really big is way different than I hated him in NXT. I did not want anything to do with Elias. That's not being big on him. I'm not really big on. I'm trying to think of someone I'm not really big on.
Lars Sullivan.
No, hate him too. Okay.
Angel Garza? Really, I don't know.
Yeah, Angel Garza. I'm not like whatever, man. Like it's a whatever thing. I don't think you're gonna do much. Maybe you will. Probably you won't. You know, I'm not big on Angel Garza. Elias, I hate it. Absolutely. Like not in a boo, you're a heel kind of way. In a man, what the fuck are you even doing in this sport kind of way? So not big on him. Definitely over exaggerating how much I liked him.
But we've all said, like, since he's come up to Raw, SmackDown, whatnot, it's been like complete 180. It's been a complete 360. Like you've enjoyed almost everything he does, whether he's a heel or a face. So I'm kind of actually excited to see where they go with this for right now.
Fair. So, okay.
I'm giving it a chance. As you said,
holy shit. Smitty's giving something a chance in WWE because we all know it stands for Walk with Elias. All right, Sami Zayn is the next draft pick, number 17 on Raw, staying on SmackDown. Lacey Evans then goes from SmackDown to Raw. Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura stay on SmackDown. Sheamus, as we mentioned earlier, SmackDown.
Hey, can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
Just real quick on Sami Zayn. Smitty said he thinks Sami Zayn is one of the best actors. Sami Zayn isn't acting. Like he is 100% himself. Like that is how he is in real life. He is just going out there being himself. And like, cause I've heard interviews with him. Like the first interview I ever heard with him, he was on Talk Is Jericho a few years ago, and Sami Zayn was a babyface in the company at that time. And I just remember walking away from an interview going, I want to punch you in the face. Like, I just want to punch you in the face. So
I get why you and Kevin Owens are friends.
But yeah, no, he's not acting. I just wanted to put that out there.
Right. So yeah, Sheamus goes from SmackDown to Raw. Nikki Cross goes from SmackDown to Raw as well, further entangling her with Alexa Bliss and whatever the fuck is going on. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode move from Raw to SmackDown. R-Truth, your 24/7 champion, stays on Raw. I want to stop and talk about this, not that it's a major thing, but I had said something that if you really wanted to build Retribution as a major team, a major force, you could do something with Mustafa Ali to where he won the 24/7 championship. Therefore, he could be on SmackDown and Raw, and he can have divisions of Retribution. If you really want to destroy WWE, you'd have both shows, right? So Mustafa Ali being able to float between SmackDown and Raw with Retribution members on both, destroying pieces of the show, that'd be fucking great. I would love that kind of idea. It makes all kinds of sense in the world, but they didn't do it. Not to say they can't do it still, right? But with the draft, you could have done something like that. Him win the 24/7 championship after certain members were drafted to Raw and then other members were drafted to SmackDown. Ali wins 24/7 championship. He runs Retribution all over both. I would have loved to see something like that because I think that would have been a really good arc to build more heat on Retribution. That's just a me thing. Up next is the Apollo Cruz goes from Raw to SmackDown, effectively taking him away from the United States Championship and all the things going on with the Hurt Business. We'll sit here on Apollo Cruz for a second. Smitty, are you kind of hoping that now he goes up against Sami Zayn for the IC title since he was doing so well? I loved his little bit of run on Raw in the mid card right there. Do you think it's a smart idea to put him up with Sami Zayn?
I think it's one of the best things you can do. Also, take him away from the Hurt Business. I think I mentioned it last week, like about the alignment of the Hurt Business right now. So that's kind of like maybe we can get some an actual answer about the alignment of the Hurt Business. Are they heels? Are they faces? Because like during Raw, they'll go and pound on Ricochet, and they were pounding on Ricochet and Apollo like heels. But then when Retribution came out, all of a sudden they turned off face.
Yes.
So pulling Apollo away from that scenario actually may clarify some stuff with that. And him and Sami Zayn just sounds like that'll just be amazing view, at least in ring wise. And it seemed like Apollo's also starting to find himself a little bit more on the mic lately. So he's always just said Sammy's doing a really good job. So I think that would be a good feud.
Okay. Up next, Daba Kato. He was a free agent. Now he's on Raw. Titus O'Neil slides his way into staying on Raw. Carmella stays on SmackDown. Peyton Royce stays on Raw.
I see what you did there with Titus.
Alistair Black is your next big move and shocker at the end of the draft. Not the final draft, but the second to last pick. Alistair Black goes from Raw to SmackDown. Possibly keeping up with the whole him and Kevin Owens thing right now. They're both on SmackDown. Walt, what are your thoughts right there with Alistair Black? Because it's like they wanted to push him and then they didn't because he got injured, and then they tried to figure out a way to separate his new character, do something different. What are your thoughts?
I like this sort of reinvention of Alistair Black that they're going through right now, because his character, even at NXT, he never felt like he should have been a face. You know, he always felt like, to me, he should be a really aggressive type heel, and that's what we're seeing out of him right now with the Kevin Owens thing. Is that based off of SmackDown this week, it looks like they are going to keep going with that storyline. So I mean, I like Alistair Black. I liked him in NXT. I think he can be a really good new Dolph Ziggler. Just kind of you can put him in with anybody and just try to make it work. And kind of walking back a little bit, going back to Paolo Cruz. In the last few months, his character's finally taken off, and I've always kind of felt with Paolo Cruz, the biggest issue for him is when he came up to the main roster, nobody really knew who he was, because even when he was at NXT, he wasn't at NXT for very long.
No, he was just starting to get going in NXT when they pulled him away.
And then they pulled him away, bumped him up, and it's like no one really knew what to make of him. And who he was. So I think that kind of played a role in kind of like keeping him back a little bit. And now that he's gotten more screen time, and he's got gotten more comfortable with the WWE style and working matches, and also getting better. He's not great, but he's getting better on the mic. I think it's going to do a world of good for him. I really thought.
Oh, AT&T Internet. Oh, man. He might just want to connect to his own personal 5G, whatever he's got going on over there. Get off that internet.
There's still a normal gimmick, son.
No, he's been right about a lot of things.
Say Black is freezing, his screen is freezing all the time now.
I don't think he can steal your blackness, bro. Like, I just think you guys are black. Side note. It's like an Oreo cookie right here.
All right. Hey.
Hey, welcome back. It froze. Shit. I literally was thinking 5 seconds ago, bro. So, like your last 3 sentences.
Okay. I thought he was going to join the Hurt Business.
Yes,
is what I was getting at. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yeah. And which I think it could have served well for him, but at the same time, I feel like that's the easy way out for him too. Like, I would just turn him heel and put him in a group, and then you get lazy. Then you can get lazy booking. I mean,
I think it would have been great for him personally, because, like you had stated earlier, he's good on the mic, but he's not. He's all right on the mic, right? You go and you put him with MVP, you get him more promo time, you get him more promo skills, just like we were talking about with Big E and the New Day. You put him with two people that could talk really well, you're going to get better. And you put him with MVP, he's only going to see how MVP works and how the nuances of the promo, and then become even better. I would have loved to see that, give him a little of a heel run, and then him going, nah, just fucking, go face. Granted, at time, because it's like, you guys fucked me over, I fucked you over from the inside, something I would have liked to have seen Apollo Crews do. But to truly get the skills more on the mic, he would have had to stick with them for a while, and it would have had to been a very slow build for a turn on the Hurt.
The funny thing is, Cedric said in an interview recently that he didn't know he was in the Hurt business. He thought it was going to be Apollo that was going into the Hurt business. He found out the Raw he actually turned. That's when he found out that he was going in. He said both him and Ricochet thought it was going to be Apollo going in.
That's crazy. The draft finishes off on Raw.
Swerve, bro.
The draft finishes off Raw with Akira Tozawa as the 30th pick, staying on Raw. Then you have your supplemental picks that happen on Raw Talk. Lana stays on Raw. Natalya, who just can't get Chris Benoit off of her mind with her toothless aggression, goes from Raw to SmackDown. Riddick Moss stays on Raw. The Riot Squad, Liv Morgan and Ruby Riott, go from Raw to SmackDown. And then Arturo Ruas goes from NXT to Raw. So the only two things that you saw with NXT is they gained a member and lost a member, because someone left the Redemption Retribution, sorry. Retaliation, aka Mercedes Martinez, fucking goes from Raw to NXT. And she now returns to her previous name, Mercedes Martinez. Apparently, she needed to have some retaliation for how shitty that name was. These are the free agents. So Mercedes Martinez goes from Raw to SmackDown. Shorty G stays on SmackDown. Lucha House Party officially does the split with Grand Metalik and Lince Dorado going from SmackDown to Raw, while Kalisto is staying on SmackDown. Billie Kay officially completes the split from Peyton Royce as she goes to SmackDown from Raw. Eric of the Viking Raiders stays on Raw. Tamina stays on SmackDown. Zelina Vega follows her husband from Raw to follows Alistair Black from Raw to SmackDown. And then you have the free agents where nothing happened with them. The first one being Andrade, still a free agent, still was a Raw brand guy. Becky Lynch, obviously she's out on maternity leave, but wasn't even mentioned in this, and she was on Raw pre this. Big Show was on Raw before this, nothing mentioned. Bo Dallas allegedly might still be on SmackDown. The Forgotten Sons, who allegedly are still on SmackDown. Ivar allegedly still on Raw, which is crazy because Eric was announced as staying on Raw, but they didn't announce Ivar, which I understand is also injured, but makes it seem like you're breaking up a tag team there, even though you didn't switch anything up. Jimmy Uso obviously is not mentioned, but allegedly still on SmackDown. Jinder Mahal was a Raw guy before this. Kane was a SmackDown guy. Maurice was a SmackDown girl. Mickey James was a Raw girl, and Mojo Rawley was a SmackDown guy. These are all the free agents that have not been given a spot or a place to go. I guess you could say the most notable one, even though Becky Lynch is on this, is Andrade, because he's the one who's been featured week to week to week to week. And you're kind of just hoping they do something with him. Is there anyone else that sticks out a little bit more to you, Smitty, that you kind of wish they would have thrown a bone to? Bone.
Not really. Because the only person I can think, like Andrade, at least you just mentioned it. Andrade's been a weekly feature on Raw, and just for him not to have a home at this point is just kind of, I feel like that's just.
I think he's staying with Charlotte.
Huh?
I think he's staying with Charlotte. No, I mean, like, his home. He lives in Charlotte's house. Probably can't afford anything right now. He's not really making that money. He moved into Charlotte's place.
But you saying that, yeah, he'll probably end up staying on Raw.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if Charlotte's there, they usually don't split up the couples. They seem like a real serious couple because it's not like they're not posting about shit on social media all the time. So it's very possible that he just stays to Raw. So that's it. Overall draft. Bunch of moves, bunch of tag teams splitting up in a favorable way. Other tag teams getting a little bit more featured, being Rude and Ziggler, things like that. Walt, what is your overall thoughts of the draft? What is the biggest thing to you, or what are you hoping comes from it going forward?
I mean, the draft was a draft. I don't really know what else to say other than that. What I'm hoping for is, I think, what everyone's hoping for: get fresh storylines. See some different matches, see some different opponents, build some new rivalries. Seeing AJ go to SmackDown, AJ go to Raw, I was excited for, but seeing Seth leave Raw, because I kind of was hoping for AJ Seth program coming up here soon, because I just think that would just be awesome. Just for my own selfish reasons, because two guys that I really like. Mm-hmm. But I mean, when now you got the Street Profits on SmackDown. They get a whole new one tag team to face now on SmackDown.
No, Rude and Ziggler went there. There's two.
Oh, two now. Okay. You got what? Sushi Bar and Rude and Ziggler. Yeah.
Right.
So that costs us our 6K.
Sushi Bar.
That's not their name?
It is now.
I just assumed. I assumed that was their name. Okay.
That is fucking spectacular.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Sushi bar.
But overall, I mean, it's, you know, I don't think we're really gonna. I think they're gonna finish up, wrap up all the rivalries, all the people who followed each other show to show. Hopefully, they wrap those things up in the next month or so. At least by the time Hell in a Cell is over, because you know now you have a chance to see something different. You know, I don't need to see Seth Rollins versus the Mysterio family again. You know, for the 85th time. Like, it was cool, but now it's like, all right, let's move on to something different now.
I'm all right with the 85th time because that definitely means the next thing is 86. We can go.
Fair enough.
Smitty, your overall thoughts on the draft, what you're hoping to see out of this, and obviously what do you think is one of the biggest takeaways from it? It's great.
Like I said, the first thing that comes to mind is how much Vince hates tag teams.
He only broke up 2.
No. Say New Day, Lucha House Party,
That's 2.
Heavy Machinery.
Oh yeah, 3.
Possibly the Viking Raiders with the fact that one's on.
There's no fucking way that team's breaking up. I wish they would have confirmed it, but I'd highly doubt that team's breaking up.
You broke up a lot of tag team, like solid tag teams that been around.
Heavy Machinery, though, I'll be very honest, I'm okay with the split up, right? Because Otis is your Money in the Bank winner. Otis is someone that they want to feature, and you could tell that he wants to feature him because Vince is constantly shooting. The reports are Vince is constantly shooting down ideas of taking that briefcase off of Otis.
That's one of the reasons that Miz and Morrison ended up on Raw, and Otis stayed on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, they want to keep that briefcase on him, so that's smart.
So, what I hope to see is a strong build on the May card on both shows. I also said something earlier, like how Raw was super top heavy, but the May card was lacking. And you got SmackDown. You got your points and you got your points and moments where the May card shines. Do on SmackDown more so than Raw, but having a strong May card helps bring us a strong top card.
Okay.
In the long run, so
agreed. Very much agreed with that. So let's go on to Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory pay-per-view. This is one of the last things we're going to talk about. It's coming up this Saturday. Obviously, we're filming this show. We can hear you, Walt. I love when he interacts with his kids, though.
Sorry. I have to
dad mode.
Help children right now. Bound for Glory. What about it?
Hold on, wait. I'm getting into it now. I was just letting you know. I didn't know if you thought you muted or anything like that. It wasn't.
Oh yeah.
All right. So Bound for Glory is coming up this Saturday. It's currently October 18th as we're recording this show. Bound for Glory is in 6 days, which is October 23rd, Saturday. Sadly, I won't be able to watch it live, so we won't be able to talk about it directly the next day. But we will get into Bound for Glory, the finality of it. But let's talk about everything leading up to it. Things that were announced, especially on this last week's Impact, have a big stipulation towards the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. So it's Heath, Don't Call Me Slater, versus Rhino, versus AC Romero, versus Larry D, versus Tennille Dashwood, versus Taya Valkyrie, versus Brian Myers, versus Tommy Dreamer, versus Havoc, versus somebody to be announced. If you're not familiar with Impact, the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match is you win the match and you get to go for any championship that you choose. However, there is a stipulation added to this on last week's Impact where if Heath or Rhino win, Heath also wins a full-time contract with Impact Wrestling. If they do not win, both Rhino is fired and you don't see Heath on Impact anymore. Smitty, we'll start with you. Obviously, You and I are really into Impact. It's mainly the only thing I'm truly 100% invested in. You have obviously been touting Impact's greatness. You've been touting Impact's greatness for quite a while. And so your thoughts on this match? Yes, it kind of seems like we're getting what we know to be a finish of this, because I highly doubt they let them go. What are you hoping to see out of this, at least if they do here's the finish in the stipulation match?
So last year's Call Your Shot Gauntlet came out with Eddie Edwards winning it, and that was a surprise. So this year's Call Your Shot, like the whole Heath Rhino thing, I think is a good story that they're trying to build here. But we've also said on this show that sometimes it seems like let me back up a little. It seems as if the outcome is predictable, but we've always said on the show that sometimes predictability is good if the journey is actually still keeps you invested into it.
Right.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for the Call Your Shot Gauntlet has always been one of my favorite parts of Bound for Glory over the last 2-3 years. So I'm just hoping that I get the same excitement I got from the last two Call Your Shot Gauntlets.
So even if Heath or Rhino win this, and let's say most likely they do, they're probably going for the tag team titles, right? Like, this is a team. This is their, I believe, currently, if you're going for the independent scene, they're currently the XICW, a Michigan Independent Professional Wrestling League. They're currently the tag team champions here. Obviously, Rhino being a Michigan guy, they're, Big Daddy's Boatyard and stuff like that. And he's doing a wrestling show here that's why I brought up Big Daddy's Boatyard, because that's where they're doing the wrestling show. I think IWR, I would love to be right on that, because I feel like I'm right. If not, someone will fact check me. And so therefore, keeping them as a team, obviously they've been a team. They've been tag team champions on WWE television. Side note, before I go any further, I'm no longer ever going to make fun of announcer saying that somebody is a tag team or IC championship rather than champion, because I fuck it up all the time and I make fun of them. So I see the problem. It happens. So they have been tag team champions on the main stage on WWE. One of the greatest gimmicks. It really spawned Heath's I Got Kids stuff. Greatness with him and Rhino. Rhino eating the fucking Cheese Whiz plate with crackers. Great stuff there. So it's obviously an established tag team coming into an area and possibly having a decent run. Now, granted, you got the Good Brothers, you got Motor City Machine Guns, you got them going for something later in the show we'll talk about. But a lot of good tag teams in
division
Impact. Right. So to get into there and go for the titles right away, I kind of think, let's wait it out. We're going to choose the Impact Tag Team Championship. But do they have to go? Do they have to fight the next pay-per-view for what they choose, or they can hold that as long as
they want to?
In the Bank.
Yep,
just like a Money in the Bank. All right, cool. Confirming. Walt, have you been keeping up with Impact these last couple of weeks? And if so, what are your thoughts on this Call Your Shot Gauntlet match?
I watched it this week.
We barely hear you, sir.
How about now? Better?
Better, yeah.
Okay.
Not great, but...
I'll yell.
Even that's really muted. You should mute and then unmute again. Why am I yelling? No.
Hang on. What about now?
Way better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Great. All right. So again, like I said, I watched it this week for the first time in months. And by months I mean years.
That's a month.
Yeah.
24, 36.
Keep going.
48.
Yeah, there we go. Maybe not that long.
Somewhere between 48 and 60.
Give or take. But I like the call your shot gauntlet. It's just like their feast or famine gimmick they used to run before, and that was like well before the Money in the Bank too that they did, which you got a briefcase, but the twist was you got the briefcase. You didn't know if you had a title shot or you got fired. So I always
feast or fired, not feast or famine.
Feast or whatever. You know what the fuck I meant. Peace.
Now the people at home may not know.
Okay, feast or fired then. Jesus fucking Christ. Mute yourself. Thank you.
JFC.
but I do like that as I did like that as a twist, but yeah, now with the whole like if Heath Slater doesn't win, you know, he doesn't get a contract and Rhino's fired, it's like, well, that does feel predictable, but maybe it won't be. I mean, TNA, one thing I will say about TNA, at least from back when I used to watch it, when you thought you knew exactly what they were going to do, a lot of times they would go the other way. So so that they very well could. I mean, and also it's wrestling, right? You're fired doesn't mean you're not going to show up again. You know, because remember John Cena got fired by the Nexus a few years ago, and he was there every week.
Every week.
So I mean, you know. But yeah, I like TNA. TNA, thumbs up. You're good in my book.
What about Impact?
Same, yeah, whatever, man. Right, TNA, Impact,
Global Force.
Fucking, yeah,
it's Global Force Wrestling now.
Yeah, fucking Raw.
They go through more name changes than Gold Dust.
Right. Eddie Edwards versus Ken Shamrock is with Ken Shamrock with Sami Callihan for a singles match. Smitty, your thoughts on this one?
I'm kind of interested in this one because there was this whole thing. Usually around this time, they do like Impact has their that one person that goes into their Hall of Fame. That's been kind of put on the back burner because of COVID and whatnot. And it was confirmed that the person that was supposed to be inducting Ken Shamrock this year was supposed to be Dwayne Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
So, but also, like, I'm a big fan of Eddie Edwards and Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock at damn near 60 is in phenomenal shape and is still putting on pretty good matches. So Sami Callihan is like one of the best heels in the business. Today, Eddie Edwards is a good babyface. This match is going to be one of those matches. I think it's going to probably start the show, and I'm looking forward to it in general.
Yeah, you think so? You think this is the kicker?
If it's not the gauntlet, it'll be this one.
Okay. EC3 versus Moose. Obviously, this has been building for a little bit with EC3. His return attacking Moose, who was your TNA heavyweight champion. This is just a regular singles match. What are your thoughts on this one, Smitty?
The story building up to Bound for Glory keeps it for it to happen. It's not like they haven't had like 2 million matches leading up to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think the build keeps me interested. These two. Okay. And these two are really good. So I'm interested. It's not my favorite match on the card, but just something I'm still looking forward to watching.
Not your favorite match on the card. Okay, makes sense. And now we're going to get into the big matches, and then we'll obviously get a lot more input right here. Up next is a 6-way intergender scramble match for the Impact X Division title. If you don't know what a scramble match is, basically it's I don't know how they do it. I remember how like WWE did it, where like 2 people start and then everyone else enters, and then eventually it becomes to who gets the most pinfall during a time limit, who get most falls during a time limit, is the winner or something like that, or whoever gets the final fall is the winner. Like you get a fall, you get a submission, so technically you're the champion, and then someone else gets a pinfall from them. Now they're the champion. Is that how this is going to work, Smitty?
I'm not sure because last time they've done something like that before and called it a scramble, but they've also done another type of way where they did a scramble and they became like an elimination type deal.
Okay. So we don't exactly know the finer points of this, but it is for the Impact X Division Championship. And the champion, our good friend Rohit Raju, will be defending against Chris Bay, Jordan Grace, TJP, Trey, and Willie Mack. I think that this is a fucking stacked match. I think every one of the people in this match are wonderful to watch in the ring. So I can only imagine what all 6 of them are going to do for the Impact X Division Championship. Personally, obviously, we all know I'm the Rohit mark. I was the only one that picked him to win the Impact X Division Championship because, look, that's my boy, and I will never bet against my boy. Smitty, on the other hand, only bets on Black. So you must be wanting Willie Mack to win this match, huh?
Actually, I want Jordan Grace to win.
Yeah?
Yeah, I want Jordan or I want Trey because, like, I think Trey Miguel is one of the most talented guys on that roster, and he for like just his arsenal that he has in ring is phenomenal. His nickname is the Fresh Prince of Midair.
Sorry for interrupting real quick. I don't know if you know this or not, but Trey Miguel stole a move from Naomi and just made it better.
And the funny thing, since that, he's actually incorporated more power slide moves into his arsenal. He's a current Warrior Wrestling champion right now too.
All right.
So he not only does he do a power slide destroyer, he has a power slide stunner, and now he also has a power slide tornado DDT in his arsenal as well.
Look at him being all awesome. So you want Jordan Grace to win this match. Do you think that this could possibly steal match of the night? I know we got some really good ones coming up, but is this
a top contender for it?
Yeah,
100%. Like you said, there's so much talent in that ring, and these more specifically within Impact Wrestling, the multi-man matches have always been really exciting to watch.
Okay. Walt, your thought process on the Impact X Division Championship match?
I'm rooting for your guy.
Because I'm right all the time, Smitty.
Well, I mean, Smitty picked Jordan Grace because Jordan Grace bets on Black too. So
she's married to Jonathan Gresham on ROH. Like, are they
married? I thought they were just still engaged. I thought the wedding
they got married like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, nice, man. Congratulations to Jordan Grace.
Yeah,
and Jonathan Gresham.
But real quick,
who rocks the badass predator type mask? I fucking love it. Cthulhu or something like that.
Cthulhu, yeah.
Love that. Actually, I got to bounce, guys. I got single parent duties going on right now.
SBD, heard.
Yeah. So, but I'll be back next week, and also Smitty, you still suck.
Still better than you.
You suck better than him? Well, yeah, of course.
Whoa, yeah,
still better than you.
No, he said you still suck, and you go still better than you. All right, I guess your response is yes, I suck, and better than you.
Hang your hat on that, bud. Make that a T-shirt.
Yes, I suck, better than you. I'll even put it in like Kurt Angle colors, so it's like a WWE shirt, but it's a Smitty shirt. Similar to the ones you're wearing right now. All right, up next, 4-way tag team match for the Impact World Tag Team Championship. The Motor City Machine Guns are your champions, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabian, and the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, versus the North of Ethan Page and Josh Alexander, and versus Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Smitty, we see the titles change hands?
Yeah, I really do think we're going to see the titles change hands. Because I really feel like, because of the name value of the Good Brothers, Impact is going to try to build the tag team division around them. But I don't think the Guns get pinned, though.
Oh, of course not.
I think it'll probably be Austin or Fulton to take the fall.
I'm agreeing with you on that one. I think that there's going to be a magic killer, and it's probably Gallows that's going to be pinned Fulton, or Anderson that's going to pin Ace Austin. I 100% agree with you on that. I think you keep this Machine Gun strong. I especially think that you can't have the Machine Guns lose when you're possibly bringing Heath and Rhino into this. You can also do some sort of back and forth with them for a little bit of time,
But also, Walt did say this as well. Like, one thing Impact is really good at is throwing a swerve at you.
Yeah.
I could also see the North, like, I could also see like the Good Brothers doing all the work on Fulton, and then the North still in the belts that way, and becoming
that's also a really good point. Yeah, 100%.
But that's one of the things when you have a really good tag division and everybody can build a momentum from week to week to week. Like, one week you'll have the Guns win a match, or the next week you'll have the North win a match, and you'll have the Good Brothers win. Like, it's like nobody's like, even though every now and again somebody's maybe taking a pin, the momentum has been shifting from week to week during the build of this match,
right?
Which gives it unpredictability. And I say the only team I can see not winning this match is Austin and Fulton. But once again, you have been swerved before and stuff like this,
right? Yeah, especially if you're like the real thought process of this one is you're thinking most likely Good Brothers take this belt. And then if you're building the entire card and stuff, you have Heath and Rhino who are down there who want the tag titles. It's also very possible. Austin and Fulton could win, and then the tag team, they cash in their tag team title, and then they go over and they're able to be the tag team champions in Impact, right? And then eventually down the line, you see the Good Brothers or someone take it, because technically the Good Brothers don't need belts on their behind them, right? You can do that with Heath. Yeah, right. You can do that with Heath and Rhino, build up some a little bit of credibility there with them, and still the Good Brothers can eventually take those belts. They don't need them at this pay-per-view, but at the same time, Bound for Glory is their big one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Right. This is a WrestleMania.
Yeah, Bound for Glory is a big one. Slammiversary is their SummerSlam.
Yeah, so it's very big, building big cards with big finishes and big moments. Good Brothers taking those belts seems like for lack of a better term, good idea. Deonna Purrazzo versus Kylie Ray for the Impact Knockouts Championship. This one I am real mixed on who could take it. I think Purrazzo is an amazing person to keep with this belt, but Kylie Ray built herself up really well during the house,
Wrestle House.
Yeah, Wrestle House. I thought she did great in there.
Okay, quick side note about Wrestle House. I love the fact that everybody involved in Wrestle House is still inside some type of story that's keeping them relevant, and they're all still being heavily featured on Impact.
Right. So you use something that brought in a lot of people to put a lot of exposure on all of these people, and these people are still on. They weren't just let go. Right. It's not like, oh, Wrestle House is over, we're not thinking about you anymore. We're still using you. So yes, I agree with that. Very good point, because there's so many times that companies will bring people in and then you're like, I'm really involved in this, and then they're gone, So, but Kylie Ray built herself up really well in Wrestle House at a prominent feature. So either way this could go, I don't think I'd be mad about it. This is one that's going to be really tough for me to pick. Smitty, what are your thoughts on this match?
I think this is a sleeper. Well, this is a sleeper match here. Like, this is going to be the one that's going to probably surprise everybody. Like we said, also when Deonna versus Jordynne Grace, when Deonna first won the title, it was kind of a sleeper. Yeah. It was one of those sleeper matches that ended up being probably the best match on that card at Slammiversary.
Sorry, I just fucking with my hair because I have it. I agree. This could surprise a lot of people with how good this match is. But again, what's crazy that's crazy to think about that we would even say is the Impact Women's match surprisingly might be a top tier one on the card. Why are we still saying that about Impact's women's division? Impact's women's division has been better since before WWE revolutionized it, right? Impact is doing it with Gail Kim and all of them way back in the day. It is not new that Impact Wrestling's women's division is the top division, is the top women's division. I'm sorry. I love NXT women's division, but I still think Impact has the division. It is still the standard bearer.
I think I agree with you in that, and that's because they the one thing that they do that NXT does not, with the time allotted, they find a way to feature most of their talent. Where I feel like NXT, especially now, you focus on a handful, and you have so much talent you can work with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like each and every one of them are on television every week. So there'll be a week where you don't see the champ, you don't see Peraza, or there'll be a week you don't see Kylie Ray, or you don't see Taya or Rosemary.
Which is fine. And that's, I think I agree. That's one of the things with WWE is one of the problems, the reason people get so mad or so over some of the people is because you see them all the fucking time. Give them a break. Give them a week off. We don't need it. You know what I'm saying? I liked the whole thing that they did with Roman and Jay, where Roman was in the back cutting a promo, right? He wasn't on the screen. It was good. But give them a break. Take time away. Make someone want to see somebody, you know? And finally, Eric Young versus Rich Swann for the Impact World Championship. Eric Young is your Impact World Champion. Rich Swann obviously trying to get his comeuppance from the title match where he was taken out by his knee from Eric Young. Smith Swann, talk to me about it.
Beautiful build. Like the Rich Swann story in general has just been phenomenal. It drew me in. I actually thought Rich was done after the whole leg thing at Slammiversary.
Mm-hmm.
Came out to announce his retirement. So it was a part of that story Birdie brought you in. And then what Eric Young has done in such a short time of being back, it just a proof of how much of a talent how much of his talent was being wasted over in WWE. So because in such a short time, he has made himself one of the best heels probably out there right now. Not the best, probably one of the best since he's been back to Impact. I just recently rewatched Victory Road, where him and Eddie Edwards had their rematch, and just watching Eric Young do his thing and then watching Rich Swann do his thing. I don't think these two ever actually met in a ring anywhere else, so this is going to be interesting to watch. I would love to see Rich Swann win and get the title, but I wouldn't be mad if Eric Young retained either.
So that's what I'm thinking about this. I hope this kind of gets a wonky finish. I rarely like that at your biggest show, right? I'm usually, my thought process is whatever the fuck you got going on should finish at the biggest show to move on. But this is one where it's like the build is so good for it that a wonky finish at the end of it, I'd be okay with to see bring down the road. You know, it just makes sense to me for some reason to keep this story going. So therefore, you can still see more of the story that they have built to continue building. You know, some of the best books, some of the best movies, some of the best television shows have a great second act to it or a sequel, you know, that comes in and able to do something. Sometimes you don't want that. You don't need that second one. You know, Anchorman didn't need a second one. It was a great beginning. Star Wars, amazing second one. Godfather, amazing second one. You know, granted, it's also really difficult to have the second be better or as good as the first. And obviously, I just used two scenarios that it blew the first one away.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not asking for that.
Greatest Star Wars film of all time.
I'm not asking for you to blow me away in the second act, the second run of this. I just want something that keeps this going on a high level, which Impact does very well with everything. Like we said, like Smitty said earlier, they are great at featuring things. They are great at making you want more of what you're seeing to keep it going. So therefore, I would not mind a wonky finish here because I just feel very confident in how Impact builds its roster and everything like that.
Yeah, okay, one quick question. This question for you. How do you feel about seeing Scott D'Amore on TV a little bit more?
I'm all right with it. You know, it's not something that I expected. I don't feel like it is. I don't feel like it's a rip on anything. Like, you know, like I don't feel like this is a Mr. McMahon character or stuff like that. But I feel like when you're going through what you're going through with COVID and all of this stuff, you kind of need that character there. You know what I'm saying? I don't want it to build into a storyline like that, but I understand why you're doing it right now because it makes sense, right? Especially if you're bringing in all this talent. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like, and I could be wrong. Please forgive me. I haven't watched. Did not watch Tuesdays. I've been so busy this week with work schedule and everything like that. But as far as I know, it's just basically with the Heath and Rhino stuff, right? He hasn't stepped in anywhere.
With the Heath and Rhinos, with the Young and Swann stuff, he's more playing like
Young and Swann
he's more playing like a regal NXT type deal.
Yeah, and it's not like he's that's what I'm saying. It's not like he's involved in a way to make it a negative on the storylines that are being built from it. It is you're right. That's the perfect analogy of it. It's the regal type thing. And that's fine by me. I'm okay with that type of general manager, that type of authority figure. As long as I don't want to see my authority figures play sides anymore. I'm sick of that. It's over. I'm done.
Oh yeah, no, because that's what he's been like. He set up the Scramble match.
Yeah.
Where Rohit screwed Trey, and then when he like conned Jordan out of the belt when she beat him 2 weeks ago. So this is. Like I said, I just wasn't sure about how other people like. I felt like it was a regal kind of thing there, but I just like I don't know how long I'm gonna be behind the scene on TV every week. But like I said, this is a bill for Bound for Glory,
right?
And that's the reason I'm like looking at it like maybe this is just for Bound for Glory, but after Bound for Glory, I'll see what I feel about the more on TV after that.
Right, something like that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's us finishing up. We talked obviously about the WWE Draft. We definitely talked about Bound for Glory. We're going to be making our pro wrestling scorecard Bound for Glory picks later in this week. Those scorecards go live shortly after the Impact's Tuesday show. So make sure you go to ProWrestlingScorecards.com, sign up for the digital beta. It's fucking free, man. It's free, and you get to take on a whole slew of people in the scorecards. You can see how we're going to do against Pro Wrestling Scorecards and Pro Wrestling Scorecards versus BDR. 4. We're not doing well right now. Smitty sucks.
You do realize every time we do this, I make a giant comeback, right?
Look, man, you're not Justin Verlander. It's not Kate Upton. I don't really care about how giant your comeback is. That's all I'm saying. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you later. We are your ring crew.
I'm Smitty.
I'm Mikey. Thank you so much. We are